Good evening. I'm Jack Barry.
Geritol presents the exciting quiz program 21.
Stand by, going to air.
Give me the name of the explorer who just...
You have 21.
There's something so unique about Robert Redford's quiz show that always keeps me coming back. Scandals, large or small, local or national, are nothing new to the American television experience, but every so often, I find my mind drifting towards the themes and philosophy of this film. In many ways, scandals are meaningless, like the real world, MTV drama stretched out to be more than what it's actually worth.
These are like my friends from school, and I brought them here, and I introduced, for you, for instance, I introduced them to you. Peace. And you know, you could at least...
But here, yeah, there's plenty of trivial drama, and yet at the same time, there's also an intellectual modernist perspective surrounding gossip and how entertainment can play a powerful role in shaping how and what we think.
Speculation in our society has a way of becoming fact. Television is a public trust.
This movie covers a lot.
70 grand, Herb. You can afford to be humiliated.
Who are the public figures they look up to?
How's yours?
What are their values?
Values. They never go out of style.
Are they who they appear to be when the camera's not rolling? Does that even matter?
Are my kids a mess? Is my wife a money-grubbing...
Are these characters in this film moral and ethical? Who are the heroes? Who are the villains in a complicated story like this?
I mean, those are questions, right?
This movie has a message, and it begs you to look deep inside to ask yourself,
Like if someone offered you all this money to be on some rigged quiz show, instant fame, the works, would you do it?
The word is yes, Carl.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
I'm going to try to answer some of these questions to get to the core of what Quiz Show is trying to say about society. In this video, we'll explore the true meaning hidden beneath the subtext. And like all juicy scandals, we'll try to get to the truth.
You're right!
It was the biggest phenomenon to hit television, the Big Money Quiz Show.
Okay, let's recap some of the major story beats before we dive into the sociology that's at the heart of this film. The plot loosely follows the true story of the 1950s quiz show scandals that made headline news for weeks.
Won the Academy Award for 1955.
I knew that the answer was Marty, but he wanted me to miss that question.
The opening act follows the hometown hero, Herbert Stemple, and his dramatic fall from grace.
Stemple is an underdog. People root for that. It's a New York thing.
Queens is not New York.
Going from a rising star to a rambling John Turturro.
I want to tell you something, and it's the most important thing you'll ever hear in your entire life. Shut it.
Not because of his ability on the show, but due to the ratings and the desires of the show's advertisers. See, Stemple was a good boy.
You think I should get my teeth capped?
He understood that the show was...
It's a fix.
And due to a variety of reasons that we'll get into soon, he intentionally loses on a question that he knows so that a hero can take his place. One that the quiz show and the movie at large has far bigger plans for. Charles Van Doren.
Charles Van Doren? Like Van Doren?
Even the name sounds wealthy. Most of the film centers around his rise to fame and subsequent changes to his personality. Eventually, he's stalked closely by the watchful eye of our third major character,
Your name is Goldwyn?
Goodwin.
Who has, without question, one of the worst Boston accents in cinematic history.
I know you're lying.
His role puts him in unwanted conflict with America's Good Boy number 2, and the quiz show is eventually put on trial because, well...
It's a fix. It's all a fix. A setup.
The third act of the film then serves as a kind of will he or won't he plotline. Will Lord Voldemort tell the truth? Will Goodwin uncover and expose the truth?
First of all, I'm not here to nail anyone, okay?
This ultimately leading these characters to a collision course, culminating with a tragic public admission of guilt, a realization of cold power dynamics at work, and a showcase of the strong influences social identity can have on a person's character.
I lied to the American people. I lied about what I knew, and then I lied about...
Overall, I'd say this movie is pretty excellent. Not just for its plot, characters, and superb acting, but for the way it carefully maneuvers exactly what encompasses a good scandal. As such, from here on out, this video will be broken down into 3 parts. The stereotypes that the characters use to judge one another and control and manipulate each other.
How'd a guy like you get into Harvard?
The social roles that influence decisions.
What would you do?
And finally, the systemic villain of the movie and what drives our likable protagonists to their downfalls.
I lied to the American people. I lied about what I knew.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ralph Fiennes.
You know, some actors just have it. Tom Hanks looks like he's your friend. A young Harrison Ford is an everyman.
I'm sorry.
And Ralph Fiennes is a humble young hotshot whose charisma could rival JFK and whose dark side could rival... For me, he's perfect as the naive, kind of doomed lover-like character of this story. The role of Icarus, or...
a patricide.
What?
A boy who kills his father.
He's charming, smart, humble, but here's the thing. All of those are based on very brief first impressions of him. They are surface-level attributions that are consistently tested throughout the film, and more often than not,
Doran? Like Van Doran?
shows his true colors very differently. Let's talk about Van Doren's introduction for a moment, when he's interviewed as a contestant for 21.
How'd you like to be on 21?
21.
It's funny how the scenes in this room are basically the entire movie in a microcosm. Here, vulnerable people, whether they be young or impressionable like Charlie, or disadvantaged and distressed like Stemple, have their beliefs tested and their motivations manipulated by these 2 con artists. The only one who doesn't give in to the temptation is Goodwin, and he continues to be defiant throughout the movie, even in the face of immense social pressure elsewhere.
Sir, that means I have you.
Really?
Really.
Then why are you the one that's sweating?
I got the guy.
So Van Doren comes in as the scene begins, talking about his desire to follow in his father's footsteps, and he reveals his major motivation for his character arc. However, these producers don't see those things. They see themselves.
What would you do?
And they also oversimplify Van Doren to a fame-hungry young idealist who's easily manipulated. They reduce him to their expectations of him, a misjudgment that will turn the tide on the plot near the end of the film. In actuality, they fail to see his real motivation, the desire to be accepted by his father, which is why Van Doren is so easy to sympathize with despite his wrongdoing.
Guy on 21 who looks like he'd get a table at 21.
You just tell him I said Stemple has an everyman quality. You know that whole American dream thing? You too can be rich.
If the ratings stay high.
Very funny.
Throughout the movie, characters consistently use their biases and worldviews to misjudge people and situations. The movie is an exceptional exploration of how our perceptions of people influence our actions.
Take a chance. All right then, here we go, gentlemen.
On board with this?
And even at one point, subverting the audience's expectations as well. Don't lie, this moment had your jaw hanging open like it was at the end of The Sixth Sense.
You're Herbert Stemple. What are they gonna do to you? Huh?
You're right. What could they do to me?
Yeah.
On the waterfront.
We want to believe Stemple is a tough New Yorker, but mess with his motivations and he's quick to fold. Writers trying to subvert the audience's expectations is really nothing new, but these twists are built on an important subtext. Everybody is trying to fit the people around them into various social groups based on their backgrounds. A good example of this is in this early scene.
What men may do, what men
we have a
daily
line
do.
from Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Charlie's father uses this at the dinner table to comment on how he believes that false assumptions are leading to a calamitous outcome. Sadly, he doesn't suspect that he himself is also being fooled in a similar way to Claudio in Shakespeare's Divine Comedy. Everyone is placing Charlie into the same box as his father, when in reality they are drifting further apart by the minute.
Measure for measure. To do a great right, but do a little wrong.
Many of these moments of judgments and assumptions are based on age, class, appearance, or family roots, but I also want to highlight a major subtext of racism that's present throughout the film.
Oh, the Great White Hope.
Walk on what my family's done for you.
You want to be worshipped? Go to India and move.
Without my
All right, well, we definitely apologize for that editing error.
The first example of this is how the showrunners use and manipulate Herbie Stemple. He's ridiculed multiple times throughout the film for being Jewish.
Yeah, well, if you were a kid, would you want to be an annoying Jewish guy with a sidewall haircut?
And there's even a moment where it's revealed that he's been a part of a systematic oppression of Jewish contestants on the show.
A symptom of his Van Doren fixation.
The thing of it is, I looked it up. It's true.
It's subtleties like these that layer the quiz show scandals, not just as like trivial celebrity gossip or lifestyles of the rich and famous, but also the direct result of problematic stereotypes that existed at the time. Towards the end of the film, when Goodwin debates the morality of his decisions to prosecute a person who's become one of his closer friends, it takes increasing shouting from his wife and a connection to Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin to finally snap him back to reality.
Meanwhile, you're bending over backwards for him. You are like the Uncle Tom of the Jews.
Goodwin is self-aware enough to know that he's being soft on Van Doren, but his wife uses this line to highlight that power and privilege gave Charles Van Doren his status and name, not his values or hard work. An interesting juxtaposition to the American dream that the film starts with. Everyone in the film has been defending or undermining characters, often because of their race. In this way, the movie challenges the audience's perception and gets them to really ask why they've chosen sides in a particular scandal, and if their implicit biases have anything to do with their perceptions of who's right and who's wrong. Again, it's a way of saying that scandals may be trivial in nature, but they're often riddled with subtext about our own challenges to overcome as a society.
I wanted to be Joe DiMaggio.
Oh yeah, me too. Especially after he signed for the $100,000.
Yeah, but you see, that's what this country needs, is an intellectual Joe DiMaggio.
So Quiz Show not only adds layers of stereotypes to its subtext, but also the power of social roles and how someone's job and power dynamics can greatly influence someone's behavior. It's here the pressure of conformity and obedience help to create the conditions for a scandal to occur. From a cinematography standpoint, this aspect of the film can be seen symbolically through the way characters are positioned throughout scenes to display their power. Both show producers hover over Van Doren here, and the chairman of NBC does the same. Even when Charlie offers to stand, he urges him to sit. They are positioned in this way to reinforce the idea of talking down to those they believe are beneath them and therefore can control.
Haven't we been good to you?
If you go back and watch the movie looking for these kind of positioning details, you'll notice that characters sitting or standing, based on the discussion they're having, is actually in multiple scenes. So much so that I think subliminally it gives the audience a worrying feeling when Van Doren is given his final statement sitting below the subcommittee.
I've been acting a role, maybe all my life, of thinking I've done more, accomplished more, produced more.
Alright, let's analyze the scene when Kittner pressures Van Doren to make a public statement. The conversation begins with Kittner presenting Charlie with a statement from their legal department from a position of trust. He's candid and friendly, hoping his confidence alone will convince Charlie his intentions are good for both of them, but the reality of this scene is far more sinister. Van Doren immediately knows how this will turn out for him, so he protests. But Kittner continues to silently threaten, believing that Charlie's virtues are his to control. It's here that Kittner reveals his motivations are to protect the reputation of NBC, not the best interest of his employees, but to maintain the very idea that the shows care about their viewers. He says that
television is a public trust,
which is a way of affirming the influence their company has on the American mindset. Fairness, everyman quality, opportunity, the American dream, all presented on their show. And it has to be real, doesn't it? This scene is contrasted interestingly where they discuss the hearing that will soon come. Like Kittner, Scorsese says that the audience,
they just wanted to watch the money.
Meaning the real engagement, comes from the alluring desire for wealth. Okay, so that section started from a place of discussing social roles, and then I kind of drifted into talking about what the movie's trying to say about American society as a whole, but whatever, it's my video and I just really like this movie.
Imagine if they could watch you.
Final last note about roles. It's clever how Van Doren doesn't call himself a professor in the beginning of the movie, but as his fame fans his ego, he begins to think of himself as equal to his prestigious father.
I mean, it's not as if the money fell into my lap. I worked for it.
Work? Oh.
Pride, vanity, and greed all begin to corrupt Van Doren based on his environment as a celebrity. But, I still think he remains a sympathetic character, unlike other films, because of how trapped he's become, and for his realization rather than avoidance before the credits roll.
Okay, one at a time.
How do you feel, Charlie?
Relieved.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
A rigged quiz show might not seem like a pivotal moment in American history, and yet somehow this movie is able to transcend deep into the American consciousness and explore a crucial time in our society. A time when a prestigious family was always well respected and held to a higher standard. A time when the American dream was within one's grasp, or believed to be so. A time when people believed what they saw on TV. I feel strongly that the message of this film is more relevant now than ever in a collective culture that's seeking internet fame, that's rife with social divisions, and has a strong lack of trust in the media. And, never underestimate the weight of a good scandal.
Hey, what the hell were you thinking? Toby, that box is the biggest thing since Gutenberg invented the printing press.
And with that, we've arrived at the villain of our story.
Are you watching closely?
Yes, there are certain characters that stand out, but as Goodwin implies when he says,
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get television.
The real problems lie within the system. A system that pushes people to corrupt their values to chase respect. A system that says nothing really matters and it's all for entertainment, not for our well-being. And a system that prioritizes money over people. In the end, we do get hurt by these things. The last line of the film is,
So who gets hurt?
And the movie proceeds to show us an endless stream of audience moments later as the credits begin to roll, implying that it's us. We get hurt in the process. Our values get tested and our character is weakened when the system that perpetuates problems continues to thrive. A piece of our innocence is lost, honorable family names are dulled, and the world is now a lot less inspiring and a bit crueler as a result. Which means that it's hard not to close this video on a disconcerting note, but make no mistake, Quiz Show is a Shakespearean tragedy and its relevance still looms large. Maybe there was a hero hidden in the subtext all along though. A gentle feeling that if the characters just did this or just did that, it would be okay. It calls to mind Don Quixote, the man of La Mancha.
Don Quixote is life.
A hero who lives in a world full of illusions and lies, and yet is still admirable and virtuous.
It means if you want to be a knight, act like a knight.
If these characters only stayed true to themselves, then maybe they could have stood up against the system, and our trust in the media wouldn't be set on a course for Banana Land. Maybe only if they strive for truth, and not the corruption, could we finally have a happy ending. Alright, and there you have it. That's the long and short of it, young hobbits. This movie is all about sociology to me. Agree or disagree? Like something else in the movie that I didn't mention? I mean, I guess I could have talked more about how the movie predicted the rise of advertising and that influencing media, so that's interesting too. I don't know. Too late, I guess. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and as always, thank you for watching.